welcome here to the newest edition of The Light Between Us, brought to you proudly and exclusively by Chick-fil-A Cicero on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York. And of course, you know that Chick-fil-A Cicero has been partnered with WakeUpCall with Dan Tortora for many years, and I want to thank Jim Rsikowski and his incredible team. The Light Between Us gives us an opportunity to share the stories of the team members that help to brighten up your day with the light that they carry every single day. So with that being said, Jack Oswald is here with me today. Jack, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good, and I found out off the air that you've been here for about 3 years.
Yep.
So what brought you to Chick-fil-A?
I came to Chick-fil-A because of the community that I saw when I was a guest here. It was always a bright smile, it was always a kind greeting, it was always like people had smiles on their face. So it was just a community and I wanted to be a part of it.
So you had experienced Chick-fil-A as a guest,
yes.
And you wanted to be on the other side after you saw how everything is here.
Yep, because it was always a special moment coming to Chick-fil-A because you knew it was always good vibes and always people that were there to serve you.
So when you saw that, servant leadership, what's attractive to you about serving other people? What do you like about it?
Is that you're able to brighten their day and be able to meet their needs, and that way it brings you joy.
So you're at Syracuse University.
Yep.
What made you choose Syracuse?
I chose Syracuse because of academics, the rigor, and I also found a major that I really love in inclusive childhood education.
Okay. Inclusive childhood education.
Yep.
So bring me into exactly what that is.
That means that all students are to be educated in the general education classroom. And so I'm learning that all students have different needs and wants and how to meet those. And it's kind of similar to Chick-fil-A because different guests have different wants and different needs, and we try to meet them as best we can.
And when you talk about, the terminology all-inclusive, why is that so important in today's world to be inclusive and to not be excluding of people? Because we have seen that throughout society. So.
Yeah, it's important because it has a large future impact on all students. Being able to be in a community, but also being able to be have a confident personality just by having your needs and wants met.
Why do you want to teach?
I want to teach so that I can change. Because I wouldn't say that I had the best educational experience.
Okay.
Mostly social, but that's something I want to change now.
So you feel like being a teacher is important to you because you can teach students in such a way that maybe that you didn't receive?
Correct. The teaching was good. It was just more of like the social stuff and like feeling included.
And was that in like peers in school, or was that feeling included in the classroom?
Mostly peers, because I always, I tried my best to be the best student I could. It was just more like peers and socially, and not always feeling like I fit in all the time.
I can wholeheartedly, completely align with you on that. I got a great education, but I did not feel welcome in the hallways. So like you said, teaching was good, learning was good, but it was the social aspect. What was it about the social aspect? Was it bullying? Was it just feeling excluded of things? Was it that there were cliques and whatnot? Because I can speak to my experience, but what was your experience like?
It was just being vulnerable with people. Whenever I was vulnerable with people, it would always be like turned against me.
So being open and having that vulnerability, you felt like, okay, I feel safe here, and then it would flip and be used against you.
Yeah, and so it kind of led to being closed off.
Right. Do you feel like Chick-fil-A working here has helped you to become more open again?
Yeah, because everyone is here for the same mission to serve, and the best thing that helps with that is communication. And all of my coworkers communicate to the best of our abilities.
You know, and it makes me sad to hear that you being vulnerable led to something negative coming back toward you, which made you want to close off, but I understand that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, opening up in this world, it's important to be open, and it's important to want to trust, but I think what we learn in life is you can't trust everybody. So, when you were open and that trust was kind of affected, how, and then you closed off, how did you work to become open again?
I guess just being able to gauge like how open I can be and what I can be open with.
And so, do you feel like it changed you as a human being where like you don't share as much, or do you feel like you're back to sharing again, or kind of where are you at?
I feel like it's an in-between. Like I share as much as I feel comfortable with, and kind of it's just more of like a feeling out of like the other person or the group, and just seeing like what do I think would be appropriate in this situation to share.
So for you, are there people in your life where you feel like you can be yourself, you can share completely? Do you?
Yeah, definitely my family.
Your family.
Yep.
So who in your family do you feel like really allows you to just be you?
My father.
Your father, what's your dad's first name?
Jim.
Jim. So what do we want to say to Jim right now about the fact that to him you can be your full self? What do you want to say to your dad?
Just thank you, Father. I really appreciate it. You take me as you are, take me as I am, and you love me the best you can.
So what is it about Jack Oswald that we should know? When people get to see you as you are, what are your kind of pillars, your foundation? Who's Jack Oswald?
I would say kind, caring, and considerate. Considerate of other people. I adapt to others, but also work with what I'm doing. So that's definitely like boundaries or something that I'm working on. So.
And for you, that there's a courage in being your true self and being your full self. How have you learned to embrace who you are? Because I feel like we're living in a world right now where people want people to be more of themselves. I think when I was growing up as a kid in high school, there was like you had to be something. You had to be a jock, or you had to be a nerd, or you had to like people were typecasting people. Where now I feel like there's more of an opening to it, but as you become who you are and embraced who you are, do you feel like you live in a world where, you know, Jack can be Jack, or do you feel like you're still navigating that?
I think I'm still navigating that, and I think a foundation for it is like learning to be myself through my major. Okay. Because my major is very like inclusive, and be as yourself, and that's where a teacher will work with you and do their best to support you as much as you need.
So, do you think that as you've gotten older in society, that society has become more inclusive? Do you think it's going in the right direction, or would you like to see change?
I think I'm in the middle, but more like change.
Okay.
Because I've realized that like social media is a big part of it, and how like because of algorithms you can get into like distinct like channels of information where it aligns with your views, and being able to step out of those and then acknowledge another's point of view and also understand it, but there's also some times where you can agree to disagree.
how do you, when you're in a conversation with someone and they're on the other side of the fence, they totally disagree with you, how do you handle those conversations?
I would say that, like, I just keep listening to them, and don't put up a wall. That's I think the biggest thing is just listening.
Well, yeah, and you brought up something interesting that, you know, social media tries to learn you and will typecast you, and you want to see change in the sense of, like, I want to see other ideas, I want to see other points of view. Why is it important to see the other side?
It's so that you can understand and be able to work with one another. And I think the biggest thing is experience and stepping away from social media.
Well, and the fact of, like, the way that you're talking is that you understand that you're not always right. I mean, there's a lot of people in society that think that they're right about everything all the time. Why are you somebody that doesn't think that way, that wants to learn, wants to grow, wants to gain wisdom, wants to be educated? Why are you not someone that's like, no, this is what I believe, that's it, I'm stuck in my ways? Why are you not like that?
Because there's always something to learn. I guess, as you touched upon, like, the improvement, there's always improvement to be done. I've also experienced that with like fitness, in that there's always a new technique, there's a new movement, and, like, there's always improvement that can be done.
They say change is inevitable, but it sounds like you embrace change. Why do you run toward change and not away from it?
Because you'll always be better on the other side.
You're an inspirational guy, Jack. Where does that come from? Why are you someone, I mean, how old are you?
19.
19 years old. But you're speaking about philosophically and really just life-wise lessons that some people haven't learned in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Why are you the way that you are? You seem to be open, you seem to embrace change, you seem to be a positive person. Why? Why is that for you?
I just enjoy living life, enjoy understanding other people, because that's what helps the world go around a little bit easier.
So, working here at Chick-fil-A, we talked about you coming here 3 years ago. What's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself being here at Chick-fil-A Cicero? Biggest thing you learned about you being here? What sticks out? Like Jack 3 years ago and now Jack today. Something that you have that maybe you didn't have back then, a tool in your toolbox, something that you're proud of, something that's
I'd like better communication.
Better communication.
Yeah.
So, how did you become a better communicator here?
Just by doing, and I guess falling back on, like, simple things that can be communicated and their impact.
When you're helping someone here, you had talked about earlier on in the conversation that being a guest at Chick-fil-A, you wanted to work here because you saw the service.
Yep.
being on the other side of service, what is it about serving others that you feel like has maybe helped you to grow?
Noticing the small things. Like if I go through a guest order and I'll like, say it's a regular sandwich meal, I'll be like, would you like pickles, medium waffle fry, and for the beverage? And then recently I've been asking for how many sauces they would like. And I think that's something that I notice in a guest when I ask them that they like think about it, because I guess I'm assuming that in the past they haven't been asked that.
Yeah.
So it takes them a moment to think and gauge how much they'll actually need.
Yeah, because I think, people just say, I want this sauce, or I want that, or they just expect it, or they just think like, okay, this is what you do, as opposed to, oh, like I've never been asked how many I want, or I've never been asked if I wanted this on or off. And it's something simple, but it's important because it shows that you care about each individual guest.
Yep.
When I've asked you questions here today, you've paused and you've taken time to think about it. Not everybody does that. Why do you kind of let yourself marinate and really think about your answer before just jumping on an answer?
I would say that like it's more thoughtful, and it's really considering when I think I'm really considering the question.
Is your brain kind of like playing through it in your head? Like different avenues that you could go?
Yeah.
Okay. Working for Jimmer means what? Your owner, operator, my brother, someone who I love as if we came from the exact same family at the exact same time. What is it about Jimmer that you love?
His drive, his positive and uplifting personality.
When you see him go through life on a day-to-day basis, like you said, that drive, it's uplifting. When you look at him, what's maybe the first word that comes to your mind?
Persistence.
Persistence.
Persistently fighting a deadly disease that he's continuing to give his best effort.
And he has taught you what about yourself?
To continue to give my best effort.
Well, I can appreciate it, and I can respect it. You get the final word, Jack, so I've asked you. You can ask me any two questions in the world.
What is your favorite sport to cover?
I would say that's difficult because I've learned to love and appreciate and respect all different sports that I probably never would have been connected to if not for chasing my dreams the way that I have. But I would say to play is basketball. So, I mean, I really like covering football. I found a passion for. I could say I can appreciate every sport in some way, shape, or form because of the people. But I think basketball is the one I'd have to pick to answer your question because I still play to this day. I played growing up. And it's one of the only things I can completely shut my brain off and like clear my brain and just be with God and the basketball and nothing else. What's your last question for me?
What got you started / what is your motivation?
What got me started in broadcasting over 20 years ago, a love for sports, a love for people, wanting to bring people together, wanting to talk to people about God, about morals, values, try to make the world a better place. I'm a storyteller. I like telling stories. I like hearing people tell theirs. So it was kind of like a lot of pieces of storytelling, wanting the world to be a better place, wanting to be a part of that, wanting to learn, and I love to, yeah, I wanted to show other people that you can do it, that it doesn't matter where you start, it matters what you think you're capable of. And my faith in God has been a driving force in that, and never QUITing. I don't like even saying the word. It makes me nauseous to say that Q word. And what's my motivation? God, people, and wanting to see people grow, wanting to see people succeed. I want to meet someone and I want to tell them, even if I'm the only person that told them, I want to tell them they matter. I want to meet a person where they're at and leave them better than how I found them. So a motivating driving force for me is that I can help someone know that they're cared for, they're loved, they're valued, and I just don't ever want somebody to feel how I felt at times. So I use what I do for a living to hopefully help people to know that they're seen, they're heard, they matter, and that they're not just a forgotten speck in the world, that every single star God knows by name, and if he knows every star, then he knows you. So, yeah, I want people to know that somebody cares, for real. So with that being said, for Jack Oswald, for myself, Dan Tortora, in this edition of The Life Between Us, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero, you get the final word. So, if you could say anything to the world, Jack, what do you want to say?
Thank you for watching.
So, plain and simple, from a man who thinks it through and wants to be purposeful with his actions and his words, wants to grow and wants to be inclusive and help people know that they matter. Jack, thank you for the message today. Thank you for the thoughtfulness, and thank you that you care. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Jack Oswald. Come and see him and the team at Chick-fil-A Cicero. We'll see you in the next edition of The Life Between Us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.